Yeah, it would. There are a lot of enemy skills in this game that enemies do not use, which I find odd. Like, isn't that the point? Isn't it the point that they, like, use it and then you use it against them? But instead it's, like, just a hidden thing you have to manipulate to see. Not sure why so many of the enemy skills in this game are hidden. Like, especially Choco Buckle. I mean, it makes sense. I guess there's one that's, like, really hidden, but why so many of them are hidden, I don't know. I mean, Manipulate already has a lot of utility. Obviously, it's not good in bosses, but in regular fights, it makes so many regular fights free. These guys can be fought here, right? Yep, we're just getting unlucky. They are kind of rare. They're only in one table. Or one encounter. It's 1 in 4 chance. Yes, there is. We talked about one last week that a lot of people have never seen, the bag risk. There's another one later that is as rare or maybe even rarer. I thought that the bag risk was the most rare enemy, but looking at it now, there's another one that might be even more rare. We'll have to see how people react when we fight him. Anyways, here he is, the Edgehead. So the Edgehead is just like the guy we talked about in Midgar, who has the really creepy model with like the hands that kind of look human-like and the really creepy face. What's his name? Cripshay. But this one isn't too exciting. He does have, to go along with our Wutai thing, where I feel like all the random encounters outside of Wutai are kind of made to give you items for Wutai. This guy is similar. He has no steel and no morph, but he has 3 different drops. He can drop X potions, smoke bombs, and hourglasses, which hourglasses are crazy good. And kind of weird that this guy drops them, but I think it's pretty rare that they drop them. Thanks, Juliana. No, they're only drops. He has no steel. But he can drop all of them. Or none of them, as we just saw. Alright, Wutai time. Don't let me forget to do the down by the beach near Wutai when we leave. Boing, boing, boing. Boing, 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 boing. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Here's a great example of a weapon that's like super secretive. Wow, check this out. Holy cow, the hairpin. That's so cool. I got this mysterious secret weapon for Red 13. Let's check it out. Oh. The weapon whose sole purpose is that it has no materia slots, but does super mega damage, still does 9 less attack than the Seraph Comb. It is long range, though. It's got that. But still way weaker than the Seraph Comb. You don't have to do this conversation, by the way. I just always like doing it. I don't know why. But yeah, you can do the side quest without ever doing this conversation. You just have to go to the Turks, and then you have to go to the weapon shop, and then you have to go to the guy's house, and then you go to the pot. But I just got kind of used to doing that every time. Or not the weapon shop. Materia shop. Materia? Item? Whatever this is. Never mind, I'm making things up. No, I didn't go to the Turks yet. Brain no function today. Yeah, actually, not bad. Now that you mention it, it's not a bad weapon for wraps, so that's probably why it's hidden there. Never thought of it that way. Another scavenger classic, giving us exactly what we need for the next boss. We could, but there's no real reason to. Just fight everything in order. Makes the trivia make more sense. But yeah, you can fight Disc 2 enemies early in Junon. And they give you kind of crazy XP. That's the other reason I wouldn't want to do it, because I don't want to get too over-leveled. No, I don't see many people struggling with Wutai. People struggle with Raps sometimes. Raps is kind of a jerk, but I've heard, well, to be honest, I haven't heard many stories of people getting stuck in Final Fantasy VII. That's why I generally regard it as one of the easier Final Fantasies. I don't get many stories. I get way more stories. To put this in perspective, I would say 90% of the comments and emails I get are about Final Fantasy VII, and 10% are about Final Fantasy X, or maybe 9%, so 1% can be other. And I hear stories all the time about people getting stuck in 10, and I get very rarely do I hear about anyone getting stuck in 7. People tell me all the time, oh, I never finished Final Fantasy X because I got stuck at Seymour Flux. Oh, I never finished Final Fantasy X because I got stuck on the final boss. Oh, I never finished Final Fantasy X because I got stuck on Unalesca. I very rarely hear people getting stuck in this game, like even as kids. Now, is there someone listening to this that did the Wutai side quest early on accident and then got stuck at Raps? Absolutely. Because Raps is kind of a jerk, but I don't think it's a very common occurrence. Now that's a common occurrence, getting stuck in Final Fantasy Tactics. Holy crap. I played Final Fantasy Tactics for the first time as a Let's Play for this channel last year. And, you know, I'm a veteran of the Final Fantasy series. And I'm a veteran of certain tactical RPGs like Advance Wars. And I still almost got soft-locked multiple times and had to reset my save. It is brutal. Final Fantasy Tactics is absolutely brutal. Yep, there's a full Let's Play of it. It was part of Fantathon. It was one of the bonus games for Fantathon. I think these guys are also attack squads. Yep. Yeah, if you're gonna get stuck anywhere, you're gonna get stuck on carry armor, but the great thing about carry armor is it's at like a really cool moment in the game, so you really want to like persevere and beat them. In Final Fantasy X, you have Seymour Flux, who is right before, like, the biggest story event in the game, but you don't know that when you're fighting him. When you're fighting him, you just think he's, like, the boss at the top of this really long mountain that you just climbed. So, a lot of people quit there. And then Unalesca is right before a huge story moment that actually really incentivizes you to keep trying to beat her, but the problem with Unalesca is the intro cutscene to fight her is 7 million hours long. So people get fed up with watching the intro cutscene. This game was pretty smart with that. There's very little bosses that have a big build-up before. You get save points like right before most of the bosses. The Midgar raid is a bit of an oof if you die to like one of the bosses in the boss gauntlet, but they're all pretty easy. Unless you're speed running, challenge running. Other than that, you know, save point right before carry armor, save point right before demon wall. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like tactical RPGs, but they love Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics does a good job of extending past tactical RPG. Alright, time for some fun Wutai enemies. Yeah, people really built up Final Fantasy Tactics story. Like, people were telling me it's the best story in the whole Final Fantasy series. And I'm like, okay, brother. It's a spin-off game. Spin-off tactical RPG game. There's no shot it's like Final Fantasy IX level storytelling. And then I played it and I was like, holy crap, this might be the best story in the whole series. Good lord. It's actually crazy. Okay. This is the best name in the game. Jeju Jamie. Jeju Jamie. Jeju Jame. Jeju Jame. Jeju Jame. Jame. Jeju Jame. Jeju Jame. Jamie. My boy Jamie. The translation of this name seems to be an attempt to one-to-one the exact Japanese translation because it's just a made-up name. The made-up name in Japanese translated over is Jejujemi. So they took that and tried to like one-to-one the pronunciation so that it would sound the same. But in Japanese, it's just a made-up word, so it's just a made-up word in English as well. They use silk to cause slow, and then they use thread on slowed targets to inflict stop, which is actually pretty scary and kind of a cool gimmick. If the slow sticks, then they get to stop you on the next turn. They also have confused scales. They also have a confused scale move, but they don't use it unless they're manipulated, which is weird because it's not an enemy skill. So why he only uses it when he's manipulated, I don't know. But maybe they decided that it was too strong of a move to have him use normally, but then they forgot to remove it from the manipulate table or something. He has a huge drop table, like many of the enemies in Wutai. He has 2 separate remedy drops, a deadly waste drop, and an X potion drop. So basically, it rolls twice to drop remedies. So you can actually get 2 remedies from one Jeju Jamie. Or you can get 1 or you can get 0. So there's actually a chance when you defeat this enemy, you will get 2 remedies, a deadly waste, and an X potion just from one dead enemy, which is kind of nuts. And then we also have Bizarre Bug, which we already talked about. You can see why I love the names in Final Fantasy VII so much. They really are amazing. You might look at them and be like, what in the world were they doing? Why are all the names so weird? But then you play something like 10 where everything's like Snow Wolf. And you're like, I want to go back to Jeju Jamie. And Jersey. And Bizarre Bug. And Dorky Face. Yes. What is Final Fantasy without whimsy? Look at all those items. The other nice thing about doing this at the latest moment instead of right away is that you can go in the cave and get that stuff now instead of having to come back. And Vargid Police, the best name. All right, we got Garuda. So first of all, the Garuda is not a Garuda. What you would think is a Garuda. He has no steel and no morph, but a massive drop table. He drops ice crystals, bolt plumes, light curtains, and mute masks, which is crazy. 4 different usables. Not like potions and stuff and remedies, but ice crystals, bolt plumes, light curtains, and mute masks. Light curtains being huge. They use dance to drain MP, but in Wutai, where you have no materia anyways, so it's kind of weird. I don't know why they specifically have an attack to drain MP when the whole gimmick of this area is that you can't use magic. So I said before, this doesn't look like the typical Garuda that we know from Final Fantasy, but instead, in a really cool twist, this is actually a more accurate rendition of the Hindu deity Garuda. So if you take a look at, this is the Hindu deity Garuda, which the Garuda enemy derives its name from because of his wings and stuff. But this actually looks more accurate to what the deity actually looks like. We also have this picture here, which looks even more accurate. Sometimes he's depicted as a more human face with the wings. Other times, Garuda's depicted as a bird person type deal. So, I mean, you can look at the resemblance. It's pretty cool. How it's very, very similar. And I love when they take an enemy like the Garuda from the previous games and they instead go a different route with it and go more specific to the actual reference instead of sticking to what the series does. I just think that's really cool. Oh no, my MP. What am I gonna do? How's it going? 2005 Toyota Corolla LE. I always have to say his whole name when he pops up in the chat. Oh, nice. I got a light curtain. We got one more enemy, and that ain't it. That's actually a pretty scary fight. I want some bugs. Get these bugs out of here. What was your first vehicle? My first vehicle was a Jeep. Oh, what was the name of that? Oh, it's just called it the Jeep. Big tan Jeep. It was surprisingly new because my parents bought it and let me drive it. It wasn't really mine. So they bought a more newer car so that I'd be safe because I drove pretty early. I drove right when I could. Let's just run from this. But I mean, it was still old. It still had a tape deck and all the good stuff. But I think it was 2000 something. 2002 or something, I don't know. It might have been... Were they making Grand Cherokees back then? Was that the name of them? Or was that a name they came up with later? It might have been like one of the really old Grand Cherokees, but I don't know if they were still called that. Oh, okay, we cannot get this fight here. Good thing I checked. We can get them up here. I thought they were all just on every screen. Okay, yeah, I think it was a Grand Cherokee. I think it was like an early 2000 Grand Cherokee. Which is funny because now I drive a Grand Cherokee again, but much newer. There he is. So this is Foulander, another name that I really like. So this guy has a 14% chance of dropping a lunar curtain. So the Garuda has a chance to drop light curtains, and these guys have a chance to drop lunar curtains. And this is the only other lunar curtain in the game. The only other one is from Unknown 2 in the Sunken Galnica. So other than that, this is the only lunar curtain you can get from these guys. Lunar curtains are incredibly useful against wraps because you don't have access to M barrier otherwise. The name has sometimes been translated to Falanda or Fall Rangda, R-A-N-G-D-A, which seems to reference Rangda, the demon queen from Balinese mythology. But what's weird is Ragda's enemy is Barong, who is the leader of good forces, and Foulander looks much more like Barong. So, long story short, there's a demon queen in Balinese mythology called Rangda, which seems to be what this name comes from, but the look of the enemy actually looks a lot more like Rangda's enemy named Barong, who looks like this. So this is Barong here. So they look a lot more like Barong, but the name comes from his enemy, the Demon Queen. So pretty interesting. I don't know if they just wanted it to be... Because the Rangda would probably look more like the Garuda enemy. So maybe they wanted it to be distinguished from that. But interesting nonetheless. I really love the mythology vibe that you get up here. And how some of the enemies like are similar. It's cool stuff. How's it going, Mav? Alright. Time for everybody's favorite boss. Oh my god, Death sorted his items. I want to see if I had any high potions left, but I don't. This is going to be kind of oof. I should go back and get some potions. So I'm gonna not do that. And instead I'm gonna Leroy Jenkins. Because that's what I do around here. This is not a smart idea. Don't try this at home, kids. All right, so right away, the best thing about wraps. So I've been talking about, I talked earlier about how Barrett's Mind Blow is usually completely useless because most enemies that care about their MP are immune to gravity, specifically bosses. Pretty much every boss in the game is immune to gravity, so Mind Blowing them does nothing because Mind Blow doesn't work like Magic Hammer. Magic Hammer does MP damage, whereas Mind Blow, it doesn't drain, but it lowers MP based on gravity. So it uses gravity as its element to lower MP. So anything that's immune to gravity is immune to Mind Blow. I don't know if they meant to do it that way, but that's the way it works. However, Wraps is not immune to gravity, which normally you can't take advantage of because you don't have any materia. So unless you have gravity balls, you can't really take advantage of it. But in this one instance, Mind Blow actually works, and it's actually huge because it takes away his MP, so he doesn't use Arrow 3 and one-shot you. So, huge. Mega massive. Takes his whole MP. He has 300 MP, takes all of it. So now we won't get one-shot by Arrow 3. What else? Yeah, Wraps can be a horrible trap because of Arrow 3, which does super crazy amounts of damage, and it's really hard to mitigate because, for one, you have no materia here, and for two, it's Arrow, or it's a Wind Element, which you really have no protection against anyways unless you do Elemental Choco Mog. And also, it can't be reflected. So really, all you can do is get Lunar Curtains from the Foullanders and throw a Lunar Curtain. That's pretty much the only defense you have against this Arrow 3. Apps also drops an unusually large amount of gil. He drops 20,000 gil, which is more than pretty much most enemies and bosses. Like, even the North Crater enemies don't drop that much gil. Really, like, end of Disc 2 bosses start dropping around that much gil. So, I don't know if that's just, like, your reward for doing the Wutai side quest or what, but yeah, he drops crazy amounts of gil. Maybe it's Don Corneo's secret stash. But yeah, if you want to make money early, do the Wutai side quest early. I don't remember if Deadly Waste works on him or not. No. This'll work, though. So will that. Boom. Thank goodness for S-Mines. Boom! 20,000 gil. And a peace ring, which sells for like 5K, I think. Yeah, they probably expect you to buy a bunch of potions and stuff for this too, so they're giving you a refund back for all the money you have to spend. How many times have I beaten Final Fantasy VII? At least 2. Maybe once. No, definitely once. I'll never forget the ending where Vincent curves the bullet around Barrett's head and kills Hojo to save Marlene's pet turtle. It's an incredible ending. What a conclusion. Mr. Wobble. Mr. Wobble the turtle. Yes, thank you. Do not forget, down by the beach near Wutai. Okay, time for materia speedrun. Actually, we're not... Well, let's do this first so I don't forget. And then we'll do the pagoda. Alright. Materia speedrun. I'm actually going to give you... that. Oh man, I forgot how crazy the magic shuriken is. Massive. Okay. So. You get restore all... Death blow, manipulate. Normally I'd give you counterattack, but I don't want to accidentally kill stuff. You get HP plus. Actually, you know what? Forget it, because we're about to do the pagoda anyways. Let's just give you. Let's just give some restore materias and barrier. And let's just go do the thing. Alright. So. Down by the beach near Wutai, you can fight an enemy called... Brian. Just kidding. There's no enemies here. Adamanta, Thomas. Adamantamai. And if I can do it fast enough, I don't think I can. Nope. Cloud got the last turn, so RIP. Down by the beach near Wutai, you can fight an enemy called Adamantamai. And Cloud gets the first turn. This time. No, he doesn't. Last turn once again. Come on, Cloud. Get it together. Lives in a van down by the river. Again. And I know if I switch the materia off of Cloud, 100% he'll get first turn. It's like not even a question. It's just a matter of fact. Oh. All right. I'm gonna switch the materia off of Cloud and put it on Red 13. I'm telling you, he's gonna get first turn. It's just like it's gonna happen. In fact, Red 13 and Yuffie are gonna have like 0 ATB. Okay. Yeah, he got second turn, but not first. No, really? Come on, turtle. Don't you need big guard? Let me double check. Oh, you're right, we do. Thank you for telling me that. We would have been sitting here forever. Did I go back and get big guard yet? Yes, I did. Thank you for that. I totally forgot. You need both. You're the GOAT. Even cars now subscribe to death. True. Nice. All right. Finally. Okay. So this is Adamantimai. He's one of the coolest enemies in the game because he's one of the only enemies in the game that you can actually screw up his AI so hard that you get an in-game error message. This is one of the only in-game error messages that exists, and one of my favorite glitches in the game because there's just something about, like, you know, we glitch this game all the time and screw it up and all sorts of crazy stuff. At this point, we've revived Aerith, beaten the game in under an hour and a half. The things we've done in this game have been insane. But this is something where the game itself errors, like returns an error. Oh, like the developers put in a failsafe here knowing that this could potentially happen. And like we're getting an actual official error from the game, which is just so cool. So the way this guy works is the first turn he casts Barrier, the second turn he casts M Barrier, and then he checks to see if he has Barrier and M Barrier to use his attack. But for some strange reason, if he already has Barrier and M Barrier at the start of the fight before he casts his first Barrier, the game looks to instead cast Cure. But he doesn't have the move Cure, so it tries to cast a move that isn't in his attack table. And if that happens, then you get this instead. So the PC version decided to crash, but I can show the actual message, the normal message. If I can find a picture of it. This looks like it's a picture of it, but it's cut off. Here it is. We could just watch our boy Garland's video here. Can you see that? I think it's going to be cut off at the top. That's good. So it says data error, scene 179, code 32, push L1, R1, select for reset. So it actually gives you like the reset too, of like what you should do for reset, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's the anti-manti-my glitch. Okay, what else do we have about this guy? Let's get back into a fight with him and fight him normally. Yeah, we've broken this game so much over the years, but that glitch is the one that's like, all right, we got to tell him how to restart the game. Okay, so the term Adaman obviously comes from adamant or adamantite, but the second half of his name, Taimai, is the Japanese name for the hawksbill turtle, which looks like this. So that's where they got the Taimai part of his name. His name is basically adamant mixed with the Japanese name for this beautiful creature. I like totals. Isn't that the turtle from Finding Nemo? I have no idea. Let's say that it is, for the sake of the trivia. Might be here a while because I didn't bring any materia. And he has barrier. And its attack takes forever. And he has 1600 HP. Why? For some reason the unfocus patch turned off. It's just the way the code works. So it looks for a certain... It tries to cast a spell with a certain ID, and the ID corresponds to cure. I think it just happens to correspond to cure. It could have been anything. It's basically reaching for a random number. It just the random number happens to be the spell for cure. And because it doesn't have cure, it does the animation for its regular attack. And then the game gets confused. Oh yeah, because it crashed instead of me closing it normally. That's probably why. It's, funnily enough, through all the things we've done to this game over the years, it's actually pretty rare that it crashes. There's only a few instances that crash the game. There's that. There's the Yuffie thing we showed before. Or actually, I guess that didn't actually crash the game, though. I think there is a version of the Yuffie thing that can crash, but that might only be on other versions. There's a really funny... if you look up the double chocobo glitch video I made, there's a version of the double chocobo glitch that crashes the game on console, which I think is just hilarious because it's very rare that games crash on console. But there's a version of the double chocobo glitch you can do that completely crashes the game on console. It just freezes, and whatever like sound effect that's currently happening will just sustain. It'll just be completely dead, which is pretty rare for console games.